Joining us now, John Gordon, host of the John Gordon Show, Saturdays at noon. I tell you what, Johnny, you've built this massive audience from one little station on Saturday at noon, and now you have a national following, John. Pretty impressive. Johnny G, how have you been, man?
I've been doing great, and I appreciate our partnership very much. You know, throughout my life, I've noticed that people that, you know, when somebody genuinely likes you, but many people who I have always felt that genuinely liked me, just for no reason, call me Johnny. And I like that. So thank you, my friend.
Johnny G, baby.
Hey, you showed us your phones. You didn't show us your burner phones.
I also have a sat phone around. It's in my bag. Obviously, I don't have it here. I got a sat phone too, but I got no burner phones. They're all. I
don't either.
But Johnny, you started. I just got to give you a shout out here. You started with one little station, or one big station in Atlanta on Saturday. You've grown to a national audience. I love your back. By the way, you look great. I love your backdrop, what you've done, and you've invested in yourself. You have a great team of production. But that show on Saturday, man, I get a lot of compliments. I get a lot of comments when you're on every Saturday. So keep up the good work.
Well, you're so kind to say that. I appreciate it. You know, and you and I are partners. I wouldn't have done it were it not for you, John. And
thank you.
I really appreciate your having the confidence to put me on your air. And I take the opportunity very seriously and try and do a good job every week. I got Anthony over here who helps me as well, and Christy in the next room. She helps book our guests. But it keeps me in the game. It keeps me in tune with what's going on in this world. And I really hope that I can make a little difference, as you do every day, in helping save this country and keeping its values and its greatness for my children and grandchildren, which I now have two.
You have two grandchildren, I know, right? And Tyler just says there's no way Johnny G is in his 70s. Are you in your 70s?
72.
You look great for 72. I'm 67. You got 5 on me. Before we get into your comments here, one of the most fun things I had was, I guess it was 2022 when you were running for Attorney General. Remember that?
I do.
And Johnny G for AG was our thing. It was so funny. You ran a great campaign, and it's so much energy in it. I had so much fun doing that. Johnny G for AG. John, I want you to take us through the Charlie Kirk murder.
Yeah, that's I watched the service yesterday, all 4 hours of it, and when it was over and I reflected back over it, I was just enthused with patriotism and inspired to do more and do better. I knew Charlie. I didn't know him. We weren't on speed dial, but I had his cell. He had mine. We communicated a couple or 3 times a year. I saw him down here in Palm Beach a lot. And I felt then, and I feel now, that he is perhaps the brightest person I've ever had the privilege of knowing. And to think that he acquired all of this knowledge on his own. He was self-taught, but I couldn't bring up a subject that he wasn't conversant on. And I know he cared about our country. I asked him a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, in a public forum, I said, well, Charlie, has President Trump called you about a possible vice presidential slot? And he said, well, there's only one problem with that. I'm at that time, I think he was 29 or 30. He said, you have to be 35 to run. There is no doubt in my mind that he would have been a national political figure had he been allowed to live. And it's a bitter pill to swallow. Here's in the left, you know, damn them. They say that he spoke hateful speech, but they never give an example. I want to know, what hate speech do you accuse him of engaging in? Is it because he loved our flag and he respected it and stood at attention when it was unfurled? He loved our country. He actually gave his life for our country. His last breath, as President Trump, I think, said yesterday, was in trying to help save our country. And he was a devout Christian. So I'm just, he believed in the sanctity of life. I'm struggling to understand where these left lunatics come from when they say that he spread hateful speech. I don't have a clue.
Well, John, they say the same thing about us, right? Anybody that doesn't agree with them, they call it hate speech, right? Anybody that doesn't believe in transnation and some of the other nonsense they spew out, they just say that he spews hate. All the guy did was wanted to have an open dialogue. I think that their vitriol against Charlie Kirk has really opened a lot of people's eyes to what we're dealing with. Would you agree with that?
100%. I don't know what this Tyler Robinson, what was going through his mind. You know, I said on Saturday that there's a piece of me that feels very bad for Tyler Robinson. I don't know who co-opted him, who poisoned his brain, but he came from a nice family. He had apparently a loving mother and father and two brothers and maybe a sister. I'm not sure. They look like an all-American family. And can you imagine? Did he ever stop and think about what the outcome of his action could be? Did he think about the fact that he was destroying his own life while taking the life of another? Did he think for a moment that he would create a martyr and the turning point would go from 1 million subscribers to 12 million? Did he think for a moment that they would go from a couple of thousand affiliates on colleges and universities, and they now have 36,000 new applications for chapters on high schools, colleges and universities, and trade schools? And what about, the saddest part to me, the saddest part is losing Charlie Kirk and the devastation that it has caused for his wife and children. Thank God Charlie did not suffer, but his wife and children are certainly suffering. And when someone takes the life of another person, do they ever stop and think about what just a demonic deed that is? And is their intent to hurt the victim? They don't hurt the victim. The victim is gone. It's the victim's family that have left in the wake of the grief and sadness. And I don't think Tyler Robinson's parents and brothers will probably ever be able to have a normal life or go out in public. They won't be able to attend church. They won't go out for a family meal. They won't be able to walk in the park without becoming the subject of harassment, shame, and meanness from people that somehow will blame them. I don't know. But the whole thing is just such a colossal tragedy. And it just makes me very sad. But we've got to pick up, move on, and do what President Trump said in Butler, Pennsylvania. Fight, fight, fight.
John, do you think he acted alone?
I don't. There were so many irregularities and so many curiosities that go around it, like the old guy in the audience. I'm older than he was, so the younger old guy. And right after the shots rang out, he said, "Shoot me, shoot me, shoot me." Well, what is that about? Emma Robinson, who was on our show on Saturday, said that he was a decoy, that it was purely designed to deflect the attention of law enforcement away from the shooter and bring it on himself. And then, it's curious that the tent was dismantled and the camera was removed, although I did watch Candace Owens unpack all that. And it appears that was a Turning Point employee who wanted to actually preserve the evidence, not destroy it. So I think that argues against a conspiracy that a lot of people were putting out there. I don't know. You think back about the assassinations of John Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Charlie Kirk, what do they all have in common? A supposed lone gunman from a rooftop. I mean, I think can we have outdoor rallies any longer? If we are, the rooftops have got to be secured. I mean, come on.
You look at all the assassinations that have been in even attempted ones, John, always in an open environment. George Wallace shot while campaigning in the parking lot of a mall.
Bobby Kennedy walking through the
hotel after his victory speech in I guess L.A. When he won the California primary, beat McCarthy, was going to be the nominee after that. Malcolm X had just made a speech at, I think, one of the theaters in Harlem, and that was an open crowd, gunned down, and all of them, it was amazing. I think it was John Carl came on yesterday. This really pissed me off, and he said this was a horrific act, but it was not politically motivated. Like, you're an idiot, Carl. Why else would you shoot Charlie Kirk in the neck? Why else would you shoot him? Like, was it a carjacking? Was it a home invasion trying to steal his TV? Like, you shot the guy speaking at a college campus. If it's not politically motivated, John Gordon, what the hell is it?
Well, it is politically motivated. And my wife, who is like the least political person I know.
That's true.
I mean, she goes to the polls and she votes and she tries to keep up. But she said, look, they took Charlie out because he was having an impact. And if you look at the hundreds of thousands of people that he motivated to go register to vote and turn out for Trump, it's historic. And he was continuing to build on that momentum. And now I hope that his wife is able to carry on as she promises to do. I just don't know how she's going to do it with two young children and the responsibilities of being a mother. And, I wish her well and I will support her. And I hope that she is able to do so. I told a friend of mine who was very close to Charlie Kirk, who actually invited me to spend an hour and a half with the two of them together 8 or 9 months ago. And it was a delightful experience and one that I treasured then, but I really savor it now. What was my point? Oh, just the sheer impact that he was having. Oh, I said to my friend, he said, who do you think will be the successor? And I said, well, I think there should be like 12 successors. You should have a Southeast head of Turning Point USA, a Mid-Atlantic, a Northeast, et cetera, because they can't kill us all. And we just overwhelm them with sheer numbers of people who are determined to save our country, to save our flag, and to be able to worship our faith as we choose.
Well, listen, I agree with you. I think Ann and I were talking about that. It's hard as a young mother to be able to take on this responsibility, but apparently she wanted it. So we'll see. We'll wish her the best on it. But you're right. You look at all modern assassination attempts. If you want to take modern as being 1960s up, everyone was to take out somebody that was making a difference, right? And if you go back to Malcolm X, he was making a huge difference in Harlem, huge difference. He was attacking he was a threat to the moneyed establishment there, took him out. Martin Luther King took him out. A lot of these, we don't even know who the real shooters were. JFK, don't know that. RFK, I never thought that made any sense with Sirhan. That never made sense to me. The guy that shot Wallace in the parking lot, that didn't make any sense either.
Well, I agree with everything you said, except we don't know who killed JFK. That's why I was smiling. I can tell you who killed JFK. Who? It was Allen Dulles, the CIA, and Lyndon Baines Johnson, and assisted by J. Edgar Hoover. Ripped their names off the buildings. They should be tried in absentia for murder, and we need a cleansing in America and get our virtue back. We can't keep doing this stuff and think that we're going to have a Christian-based or religious-based country of morals and values and ethics, lest we lose our ability to lead the world.
I don't disagree with you on JFK.
Yeah, it's pretty evident.
Yeah, and I tell you what, the majority of young people I talk to all believe exactly what you said, including my kids. So, I don't know. We got the JFK files released. They really didn't give us anything, but I think I'm coming closer to your position on JFK.
Well, read Roger Stone's The Men Who Killed Kennedy, The Case Against LBJ. If that doesn't convince you, nothing will. Also, The Unspeakable by Douglas and The Devil's Chessboard by David Talbot. Those books are all very similar facts.
Johnny G, I have to go. People want to follow you. Where do they go? Quickly.
JohnGordon.tv, and listen to us every Saturday from noon to 2 right here on the John Fredericks Radio Network. You can also email me, johngordontruth@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Johnny. Up next for the next hour, the ambassador to the United States of the European Union. Sit down with me in her residence is next.